Wednesday, we'll get started how we normally do with a quick grounding process and a prayer and intention setting for this call. So, if you are not driving, please join me and you can close your eyes and bring yourself to the here and now. And the way that we're going to do that is um, we're going to take a couple breaths in. And I want you to think about love, the color of love. And bring that to your mind's eye, to the center of your mind, that color. And allow it to expand to the corners of your mind. And allow it to fill your whole body. And as it does, just relax your shoulders, relax on any muscles, any tensions. Just drop your shoulder a little bit. Relax into the present moment. And as you fill yourself up with this color of love that you have given to yourself, feel yourself become more open to receiving, to connecting, to understanding. And now I want you to picture yourself standing in a room in front of a door. And this door's got a little keyhole in it. And as you put your eyes up to the keyhole, you can see just a little bit of what's on the other side. And you move left, you move right so that you can just see a little bit more of what's there. But you can't see anything else. Whatever you see on the other side is perfect. Allow your mind to wonder. And as you're looking through that keyhole, I want you to contemplate the topic in which we're going to speak about today, which is faith. How faith is more than a belief system. And I want you to connect this keyhole to this analogy, to this idea of faith. And so the Course says that faith is more than just a belief system. It is a spiritual guide, spiritual principle that guides us towards a higher understanding and a truer connection to ourselves. And the Course says that faith is the place, is the trust that we place in a higher power. It is a recognition there is a loving and guiding force beyond the limitations of the ego. It's about surrendering the illusions of control and allowing a higher power to guide us. And so as we look through this keyhole where we can only see so little, you can't see your future. You can't see the decisions that you've made, what the outcome would be. And you call upon your faith, knowing that there is a higher power that is here to support you, that wants the best for you. And with our current perceptions and worldviews, we see so little, like looking through the little keyhole. So wherever you need faith in your life, allow this moment to reinforce it, strengthen it, comfort you, bring peace to this moment for you. And so faith is going to be our conversation today. And yeah, and now you stand up and you say goodbye to the keyhole, you say goodbye to your thoughts in your mind. And welcome to our Wednesday morning miracle call. Thank you all for joining. I feel like it's been a while since we did this call. Every week seems like it's so far away. We didn't get a chance to do on Sunday, so I'm really glad to be here. Okay, so welcome. Hello, everyone. Hey, Javier. Hey, Fraser. Adam, Claudio, Natalia. Hello, everyone. So for anyone that is live, you can click on the link to register if you want to be on Zoom with us. And where you can actually share and talk and guide and direct the conversation that we have. So today we are going to talk about faith versus fear, and just talk a little bit about the principles of A Course in Miracles and how do we add this to our life so that we can find inner peace. And it's about living a more joyful, peaceful, loving life. Okay, and that faith is really the gateway to having those things happen. And how do we cultivate faith? What does faith look like in the presence of uncertainty and challenges? How can we navigate it? So these are all conversation topics that we will have today. And who knows, we might end up talking about me having babies again. We'll see. But yeah, let's just kind of carry on from where we left off from the meditation, where I was, talking about the principles of A Course in Miracles that talks about faith, and how it relates to miracles, how it relates to the way that we do all the things in our lives, and how can we add it more to all the things we do. All right, so welcome, Johan. Welcome, brother. And okay, does anybody have anything they want to share first before we jump into it? And if not, it's all good. Any challenges, anything you guys are going through this week that you would like to share on Zoom?
Yeah, Alex.
Hey.
I'm having a hello, Alex. Thank you for asking that question. Hey, you know that I started getting like responsible with this invitation you gave us to do our future, the future we want with pictures and all that. So I started like rebuilding a schedule that I usually do to be able to try to do all the projects. But I have a, this is something, I have many projects and I don't have time to do them all because they are kind of like complicated, like making books for kids, or I don't know, like finishing things that has to do with psychology, and it's complicated. So I'm not, nowadays I'm having a hard time to say, okay, I'm gonna prioritize this one and leave the rest outside. So I see that you are so good at making so many things happen and having everything so neat and beautiful. I'm like, how does that? It seems like there are many Alex, and then we see different Alex during the week. So how do you do to be able to do so many things in such an effective way?
That's a very interesting question, because if you were to ask me if I feel like I'm very organized, or my wife, about the way I'm doing everything, I feel like I'm like, it's scrambling, right? But I think what I do is I just focus on, like, okay, what am I doing now? What am I doing today? And I set schedules and I show up to it. Like, that's the main thing. It's like I set my schedules to it, and it doesn't matter how I feel in the moment. I have my practice, I guess, had me learn to kind of disconnect my feelings about something and just doing it. Right. So, like, my commitments is much greater than my feelings, because we could wake up one day and just be like, I don't really feel like talking to people. I don't really feel like connecting. I don't feel like going to work. I don't feel like whatever it is we don't feel like doing. But I have commitments to it, and I just do it. And I've trained myself to be that way. And I feel like, in terms of discipline, I'm pretty disciplined. And every day it's just practicing being in the present moment. Because if I think about all the things I have to do, it will be overwhelming, right? Like, there is not one day that I'm just like stopped and do nothing. It's literally, there are things happening every single day. I have conferences lined up right here. I'm like, wow, we're hitting it so quick. Then something else is planned. Like, we plan things out, but it's all coming up so fast because, you know, I'm really just living into it. And there definitely is times that I'm like, I don't feel like doing it, and I do it anyways. So I think for you, it's just about training that part of you. And I think you were talking about the vision board, right? That I had you guys do. Yeah, and the vision board isn't about figuring out doing everything. The vision board is about, these are the things that I want to have, and there's a part of us that can say that for us to even want to have something, what put it there in my mind? I must maybe on some level, maybe already have had it, so I know that's what I want. Maybe there's another version of me that already has it. And if you bring the principles of the course, there is, because there's only you out there. It's you and you. So anybody that you see having the things that you want, it's just a reflection, a mirror of you. So creating the vision board is just so that you can see it. It's not necessarily you have to do something for it, but you may find that because you're looking at it all the time, there is an invisible force that is just guiding you to it anyways. It's like when we tell stories over and over about ourselves, about our health, about our body, about our limitations, they just grow and then it manifests into something. And as we look at the vision board and we look towards the place that we want to go, towards the things that we want to have, like every day we're walking and somehow we're just walking a little bit towards it. And then a year down the road, we're like, whoa, I'm here. And you don't have to, it doesn't have to be heavy. I think it's important that you don't do it with heaviness and like resentment about doing it. It's just do it and trust and faith, and that's what I think today's conversation is really big on. Like, I've been able to navigate many, many challenges in my life. And I'm like, wow, I am one resilient mofo. Like, I can't believe all the things that I've gone through. You know, it's funny because I went back to New Jersey last week, and I went to I got a chance to officiate a wedding. I think I shared with everyone already. Maybe I did, probably, but it was awesome. But I went to Jersey, and all of my friends and everybody that I knew that was in Jersey, you know, were like, "Hey, what's going on?" I haven't seen them, and some people in like 6, 7 years, and I'm like, "What are you up to?" Same thing. I'm like, "What do you mean same thing? Like exactly the same thing?" Yeah, exactly the same thing. Like there's literally no changes, and I'm like, "Whoa." You know, I feel like I've lived like 4 different lives in that time, right? Like I moved to Florida, I had like different things happen there. I was completely broke, had nothing. And then I was like working for this coaching company, training to be a coach and a trainer, going through all of it. Then I lived in Peru. Then I got into multifamily. Then I became wealthy again. Then I did this and that. And now I'm in Vegas. And then, you know, I'm like, I feel like I lived so much in this time that
And you
I
got
was gone.
married.
Oh, and I got married. Yeah. I got married like crazy. Right. So, um, and I'm not saying that it's bad that they're doing the same thing. It's just like we're on different paths. But if you know where you want to go, like I'm surrounding myself constantly with people that I'm like, you know, that are going places and that have big goals and big visions. And for me, it just inspires me to do that. But also around it, it makes it easier for me. I don't even know that if I'm just always going in a direction that, you know, that I put on my vision board. Because who knows, right? But I just got to trust that as I'm walking one step in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, that the staircase or the path to where I'm supposed to go, like it's completely guided by a higher power. You know, and the faith that you got to have is that the higher power wants your greatest good to have happen. And here is going to be the challenge between our ego and this higher power. Right? And the course talks a lot about that. Is in order for you to have miracles, have these things happen, you got to have faith, because faith opens our minds to receiving. It opens us to the guiding force of our life that is beyond the ego. You know, because the ego basically is always trying to convince us that you know, we are alone, that there is suffering, there's pain. Like it's always creating separation from that place. Right. So faith is the recognition that the limitations that the ego placed on us, that we can somehow trust something that is greater, God, in universe, whatever else you want to call it. And so it allows us to let go of like being right. It allows us to let go of trying to be and the need to be in control of every aspect of our lives. You know, it's just insanity to think that we can. So faith allows us to surrender, you know, and release those attachments so that we can find peace now. Because we go into like, let me do all these things so that I can find peace and happiness later. But you have to find it now so that you can repeat more of the same. Yeah, so I don't know if I answered your question. I kind of just carried on with the conversation after answering you. Uh-huh. So does that support you? Like, you know, and we are pretty connected. You're on a lot of my calls and a lot of things I'm doing. So if you're ever a challenge or need any advice, just feel free to reach out. You know, send me a text, send me a message, something.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. If anybody ever has anything that you want to add to the conversation or something's up coming up for you and your thoughts, it is here for a reason. Okay. If you think about something while we're having this conversation, it is, you know, I would like to see if you can just raise your hand and share it, because I'm sure it's meant to be here. Right. It's a very like powerful circle. Of course. Hello, Natalia. I was waiting for you.
Yeah. I want to add something really quick.
Okay, Claudia.
Because I got to jump in the off. Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me well?
Yep.
So, so I want to add something to answer Javier's kind of like backing up that idea that you give him, because I always ask the same questions as well. I am like Alex. I'm always being with people that, you know, inspire me, and vice versa. And always in the moving, always like learning something like extra, because we never stopped learning. And it's like, for me, I will share this. It's like you have a baby growing in your belly, and you're like, where this baby is going to go? How much my body can make a room for this? It does. So that's kind of like the perception that I have of life. The more things you put in your play, the bigger your play gets. So if you do it with discipline, and doesn't have to be like this like crazy discipline that we think it is. We just have to, like a dear brother says always, and he's in call actually, he say, you just have to show up. The only thing that you have to do is show up, and be constant, and be there showing up. So that's what I take from my experience. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Claudio. Natalia, go ahead.
Yes, as you both were speaking, the first thought that came to mind was this book I'm reading. I wanted to recommend to Javier. It's called Who, Not How, and it pretty much goes into describing the power of knowing that we don't have to do it all, and that the greatest, players like Michael Jordan, we all have a team. And so, and we all, in order to achieve these great things, there's so much that we can do by ourselves. And so it's not about learning how to do everything. However, it's who can support you in the doing those things. And so I was thinking, okay, how can this be related to A Course in Miracles? And so I feel like the foundation of that is trust and faith. And so coming back to the conversation that you started having of, okay, who is it that can support me? Who is it that's going to be part of my team? Who is it that's going to help you write the book? Who perhaps is going to write the book for the kids for you, as opposed to you writing the book? Or who can be the person to connect you to the company that's going to sign off on this book, or whatever else is that you have on your vision board? Going back to faith and trust, and trusting that you'll be guided to the right person that you'll be able to co-create this together with, and then going back to that you're not alone. You're, like that perceived sense of separation, going back to the Course, is just that perceived sense of the separation, but we're all one and the same. And so using that trust and faith to know that you'll be guided. And so, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There are definitely challenges, especially I just want to share, like, I'm going through a challenge right now myself. And, it requires so much faith to remain composed, right? Because sometimes when you get news that are like a punch in the stomach or super unexpected, we tend to react, and reactions actually creates more chaos. Like when you react without being grounded, without clarity, and you react from fear, it is something that's gonna create more chaos. So when we're as we navigate through in our meat suit in this body, we will constantly be hit with fear, and that is the ego saying that, hey, you can't trust the higher power, because there's really only, it's either God or yourself that you place your trust in. Okay. And the self that I'm talking about is like the lowercase self, that is of the ego, that is always bringing up conflict and saying to us, convincing us that, hey, you're alone and you're unsupported. That's why you shouldn't say this, or you shouldn't do this, or if you go and do this, you're going to lose this. And so it's always going to do that. Right. And that's the ego part of ourselves. And the training and what I want to bring to everyone's awareness is there's only two things, only two thoughts that can ever happen. Either you're going to be trusting and say whatever happens is for my greatest good, that it's going to work out great. It's I'm taking action, it's moving me in this direction where I want to go, more towards being more loving, compassionate, kind, and all of that. And then there's the other one that says, no, it's not going to work out, so you should just stop right here and do nothing, or you should just hide. Whatever it is, the fear will come up that will immobilize you. And standing still and not being able to move forward is that fear. It paralyzes you in the moment, and it doesn't create possibilities. Really, it creates one outcome. The one outcome is you're just going to stand still and not go anywhere. So, yeah. And Jacqueline, hello, my friend. Thanks for joining us here this morning. So glad to see you.
I decided to take some time for myself this morning for the first time, and I can't tell you. I was like, I'm going to listen to Alex. Kind of to echo on what you're saying, I think it's, we've been going through some wild, I feel like we're helicoptering. We're not like, life is not going like this. We're like, all of a sudden the ceiling has become our floor. We're doing things and meeting people we never thought we would have an opportunity to, right? And I think it's one of those things, like, it's really scary. But there's two things I always fall back on, and I've really, when you hit the Holy Grail, because you can fall back on them. And I think when you're in these times, I know right now I can look to my left and I can look to my right, and I've got all the people that when I want to fall apart, they're like, we got this. We got this. This is all temporary, right? And they're constantly chirping that little boost of support to help push you along when you're doubting, right? Because doubt is inevitable. Mm-hmm. It's just human nature, because we have this little mammalian part in our brain that wants to be like fight or flight, and for me, it's just been like having that one component, like the really solid support network and the super solid people in my life that I've got so much love coming in. I'm like, I have to, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure this way out. Everything's going to be okay. And I think the other thing is realizing everything is temporary. I think we like to have a lot of temper tantrums about things not going our way. And that definitely does not help, to your point. But realizing that, this is just a stepping stone, and that it's going to be as big as the energy I give it. And if I just say, I've got this, it's going to be a little stepping stone. It kind of gives you a little bit more coping and a little bit more ability to maneuver and not make it Mount Everest. Because the minute you make, to your point, that overwhelm, right? Like right now, I feel like everyone on our team right now could very easily be like, there is a Mount Everest.
For sure.
I have no idea how I'm going to get up there, but here I am, and I'm going to, but it's like step by step, right? I have this song, this Whitney Houston song I always listen to when I start to find myself shaking. And it's step by step, brick by brick, right? And you just got to remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, and to fall back on those things, to kind of just echo what you're saying. I think it's inevitable, but that's what makes people successful, is they push through that fear, and they believe in themselves. And the minute you start believing in yourself, everyone around you believes in you, and it falls into a different vibration and frequency.
Yeah.
And I think we're all in it. You're not alone. I just want to let you know that.
Thanks. Yeah, no, for sure. And that is what we've been talking about, is that we aren't alone, right? There are people that has our backs, and we can lean on and fall back to. And now that brings us to that's why focusing on relationships is so important, for all of us. The way that we do relationships is more important really than the outcome of any investment or anything, because you never know where it's going to go, right? You never know when you're going to need to call on this relationship to hold you up. So, and last week when we were talking, I had just come from, what's the word? I was facilitating a wedding. I was officiating a wedding. I'm like, if you officiate a wedding, everyone should strive to officiate a wedding. Be such a person for someone else that they want you to be the one officiating their wedding on their most important day. not only for one, but for both, right? So like, how much energy and effort do you need to put in to be there for someone, to care for someone, to really love up on someone, for them to say, you're the one that is going to marry us? You know, it was just such an incredible honor. And so I always, whether it's real estate, ACIM, whatever, we're always talking about relationships. And today, you know, when we're talking about faith too, it's about our relationship with the higher power. Jacqueline said, like, when you believe in yourself, but to truly believe in yourself, there's a higher power also guiding you. If you can become unshakable and people can see that in the presence of where people should fall apart, you're standing like a mountain, where can you call upon that strength? Right? That's going to be important for you. It's not going to be like, I won't be able to just call on my own strength, because there's so much we can do. And as long as we create a separation between myself and others, or myself and God, you're going to find yourself alone. And being alone, you will fall apart. But knowing that there is somebody that has your back, there's extensions of you, extensions of God around you that is going to have your back no matter what. You can lend and borrow that strength from somebody else. And then it helps you realize and recognize how strong you actually are. And then the next time you become, like, in the face of another situation, you're stronger, more composed, more grounded, you know. So that's the practice. Like, we want to continue to train ourselves there. And so the way that we, you know, the two ways that I know best is prayer and meditation. Prayer allows you to communicate to the greater power, and meditation allows you to be open enough to receive. So there's a channel. Remember, I always said, you never have a problem. You have a disconnection to source, to God. Because if you knew exactly what God knew about everything, then you wouldn't have an ounce of worry in you. You'd be like, oh, that's why this is going to happen. That's why I'm supposed to be doing this or that, right? And faith is, can we believe and trust in it without the tangible in front of us, without being able to see with our physical eyes? Can we start to look with our spiritual eyes, spiritual sight, rather than physical sight? And one of the quotes that I wrote this morning in my Instagram stories is that faith and fear will never occupy the same space. They don't coexist together. When fear arises, we have to create, see, now we're back to relationships. We have to create a relationship to fear showing up. See, for if we're unconscious about it, fear shows up, it paralyzes us, we become a victim, we start blaming all sorts of things, and before we know it, we have no idea why we're so afraid of everything. Because we keep giving power to things outside us. But if we can change our relationship to fear, and when fear arises, we can say, whoa, fear is an invitation to strengthen my faith. It's showing me that I must not have faith in this moment. I must just be experiencing fear, because fear and faith does not coexist. When you have faith, you're hopeful, you're confident, you know that things are working out for your greatest good. When you're in fear, that doesn't exist. When you're in fear, it's like, oh shit, the world's coming to an end. How am I going to feed my family? How am I going to pay my bills? What am I going to do with my time? Right? Those things will all just show up. And if you go down the rabbit hole of fear, it gets bigger. It will become Mount Everest. The more attention and energy you give to it. But if you can recognize, whoa, teaching moment right now, that when fear arises, it's an invitation for me to strengthen my faith. We say this a lot, that the purpose of forgetting, right? You're forgetting in the moment about your connection to God. That forgetting, if we can shift our relationship from forgetting equals blaming, beating myself up, whatever, to, oh, it's to strengthen the remembering. Oh, the fear is to strengthen the faith, right? In this moment, I forgot. What do? I offer up a prayer. You know, like, God, I give all of this to you. All the successes, all the challenges, all the obstacles. Use me as the instrument to do the greatest good, to be the greatest good. And then from there comes the confidence to take the step when you're afraid, when you can't see where the trail leads. So this is why today's, and I'm in it right now. Okay, I'm in this whole fear versus faith. Every day, every moment, I'm stepping into it. I'm practicing it, and doing and being on these calls with you guys is a reminder for me that, faith, have faith. So yeah, that's whoa, we still got a lot of time. So who else has anything they want to share about what's going on? Anything you're is on your mind right now? It's meant to be in this space, right? There's no coincidence why you guys are here, even if you're on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. Well, I can't see LinkedIn messages, but I can see Instagram ones. So feel free to, type your message, share what you're hearing. Possibly the new name of our ACIM podcast. What I hear you say is
Hey, Jacqueline, what I hear you say, I so resonate with, because during my lowest points, when I felt that I just, was in the middle of the storm, my team is, and the people to the left and to the right of me were the wind beneath my wings. And for so long, it was so difficult for me to accept help, or to even accept the fact that I needed help, and I couldn't do it all myself, because that was my tendency, to want to do it all myself, because nobody could do it like me. Nobody else knows. And being able to have the courage to let that go, and to realize that people got you, that the relationships that you formed along the way, and the love and the gifts that you've shared, there's people that want to share them back to you. They want to give it back, and I never was able to accept that in a holy way. And at the moment that I started receiving and letting people catch me when I really wanted to fall, it just transformed my life. And the reason why I'm on these calls, it's the reason why I follow Alex wherever he goes, is because I constantly need that reminder that I'm not in this alone. None of us are, none of us are. We've got people, we've got, people that care and love us, and accept that help is part of God's gift, being able to receive.
That's beautiful. I love it. Yeah, I had to, it wasn't until I moved to Vegas that a lot of things kind of like sunk in, which was so weird because I'm alone in Vegas. I have nobody. I moved there with my boyfriend at the time, and 5 weeks later I moved out. And it's been an interesting 2.5 years. It's getting romantic in here and dark. And it's funny because I was like, I kind of cocooned, and like a little seed, I planted myself in deep, and I'm like, look, there's like one common denominator in my life, and that's me. And if I'm bringing these kind of people in, it's a reflection of me, right? Everyone just mirrors you. And having that epiphany of like, okay, if I want to change that mirror, I have to change my environment, which I knew. And so that's why I moved to Vegas. And I was like, well, I came here for a reason, and there's a journey, and there's people for me to find in this town. And I've met some of like the most powerful spiritual healers, and they can just see straight through me. And I'm like, ooh, I feel naked, right? But it tells me I'm in the room with the right people, because it's like, no matter how much clothing I have on, I'm like, they see me. For good or for bad, right? It's very vulnerable. But that tells me that I'm a very vulnerable person, and I can see through people as well, right? And so now I'm getting the mirror that I like. And every time I start seeing a mirror that I don't like, I'm like, okay, what is within me that I need to sort out? Because we are the only common denominator. But to your point, right? If you feel you are someone that's reliable, that shows up, that pushes, why would the people around us not, right? And having those epiphanies and those moments of awareness where it's like, here I am thinking, I'm all alone, I gotta do it all alone. And this is one of the biggest arguments my ex-boyfriend and I had. I'm like, if you think you're better off alone, I need to leave. And if you're okay with that, then we're okay. And I love you and I will always love you. And if you ever need anything, I'm a phone call away. And you're not my person, right? And loving him enough to let him feel that space and take care of me and create that, right? Like, he's texting me all the time. This is like the hardest thing I've ever done. And I'm like, but you're better off alone. That's your belief. And we can't change those beliefs. I can't convince him otherwise. He has to want to change it, right? But we, like you had that point where you turned over, and that is like the most beautiful thing, because it's the hardest to receive. It's like anxiety riddling. You're like, you want to be suspicious about it. You're like, why is this person being so nice to me? You know, and you kind of like have this magnifying glass. You're like looking at everyone and you're like, is this trustworthy? And it makes your palms like, you know, you're like, oh God, this is so awkward. This person's being so nice. But it's a nice shift. After a while, you get used to it. You kind of sit with the discomfort and fall into it. And then look at how proud you said that. Like, I was able to receive and everyone had me. And like, that's what causes human connection. And that's human connection is what makes us happiest in life. It's not money. I can tell you that. I work with a lot of really rich people and they're not happy. And so, you know, realizing that we all put our pants on the same way. We're all the same people, and having mercy and grace for people when they're down, you know, it's a beautiful thing. And it's a beautiful thing to allow people in, which is so uncomfortable in the beginning, but then you get to a point where, like Alex, I'm like, Alex, I want a big hug. I love his hugs. He's so huggable. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. So yeah, it's beautiful. I'm proud of you. Like, that's a hard journey. That's a hard journey and a huge, I mean, you completely turned that coin over, and that's beautiful. It'll pay dividends forever. Congrats.
Yeah. And it's so good to see you this morning. So great that we're connected. So, you know, we met over social media. It was freaking awesome. And we had the longest conversation. I'm like, oh, cancel. I gotta move my next call, move them all back. And we just talked for a while. And you know, now we're gonna be doing a lot of great things together. So I'm very grateful for you being here and, you know, just being a part of my life. So thanks. Frazier, go ahead, brother.
I just like to state, you know, how she was talking about loneliness and how, you know, some people it has to be part of their journey. For me, I needed, you know, after I got divorced and my daughter lives in Texas, I needed that time to figure out who I am, right? And I'm still figuring it out. And I'm constantly growing, but I love being a part of this because it helps me to know that I'm not alone anymore. And people are on this same journey of knowledge and empowerment. And it's so beautiful. And it makes me really emotional when I think about it, you know, like if I hadn't taken that time, I wouldn't have gone down this road and I would have been stuck doing the same thing for the last, you know, 6 years. I'm now evolving myself as a human and being more compassionate and being more towards who I believe myself to be. And I have a lot of thanks for people like yourself, Alex, being a part of this community here, as well as the other ones that you have going on in the Legends community, is helping me to really see what potential I have. You know, I had a lot of self-doubt for a very long time, So it's nice to feel that I have the ability to do more.
Yeah. You know, everyone is speaking into this being able to see yourself. You know, like being able to see this a true version of yourself that has always been there, but we just had all these other traumas and experiences that have shown us otherwise. And again, how many times do you tell those stories is going to impact how much you believe in it. You know, the Course says that, you know, most of us believe that we have to see something before we believe it. And I actually just said, believe that we have to see something before we believe it. So actually, belief comes first, right? It's you can't even see something without believing in it. And that's what the Course calls projection makes perception. So it's actually what we make real in our minds first, then we project it out into the world, and then that's the world that we see back. It reaffirms that that's real, but it isn't even. So the way that I've talked about A Course in Miracles and how we see the world is it's a blank canvas. We've put a lot of different colors of paint on it, but what does the blank canvas look like? What is that's available to us? The infinite possibility, the caring, the loving, the understanding world that exists that we just don't see because we've thrown a lot of other paint colors on. Right? My mom and dad always fighting. This is what marriages are like. This is what money is like in this type of family and all the stuff. What does it mean to be wealthy? What does it mean? All the ideas and beliefs that we have, we painted it onto this blank canvas, and that's the way we perceive the world when that isn't the world. So there is reality with lowercase r, which is everything that you see. And we started this call with a meditation of looking through the keyhole. That's the way that we see the world. We see a little tiny little speck and we judge the entire world based on our little tiny perception. It doesn't even make sense. So, right, and we talk about how it's not that we shouldn't judge people. It's not that we shouldn't judge the world, but it's that we aren't even capable of doing it. We don't have the right information. We don't have anything in order to do that. I just interviewed Paul Hutchinson. He said the same thing. He's like, every time I make a judgment, the reason why I can look at a child trafficker in the face and not just want to kill him is because every time I have a judgment like that, I know with absolute certainty that I do not have 100% of the facts. That means I can't really even judge it. Right? And how fast can we change our perception, our minds about things? Our thoughts are the root of all of our problems. Our thoughts, the fear, the whatever, the uncertainty, the doubt, the unkind thoughts. All of that is the root of our problems. That means a shift in those thoughts is the answer to all of those problems. It isn't about the problems changing. You know, as we project out more into the world and as we give everything else more power, we say, oh, this didn't happen this way. That's why I'm upset. My wife didn't do this. That's why I'm not happy. She reacted to me this way. That's why I'm upset. The more we do that, the more we're practicing giving our power away to everything else. And then we become a victim to the world. We actually believe that it's the things that are out there that causes my agitation, that causes my anxiety, that causes my fears. And we go around blaming everything. And what the Course says, and what one of my teachers says, it's like, it's basically like the Titanic is going down. Okay, it's going. And you're thinking that you can rearrange the furniture inside your room so that you can change your experience around the Titanic going down. That's the insanity of blaming everything else for how you're feeling and what you're feeling. So instead, every time we do that, we become conscious and aware enough to say, oh, here I go again, giving my power to something where it has no power. Let me get it back. Right. So actually, me and my wife, when we get into a fight, I'm like, okay, I got it this time. Next time, I can't wait for the next time she gives me attitude so that I can be like, give me my power back and I'm not going to react to it. Right. So I think I'm like playing a game with myself. And I know our conversations on these calls always lead back to relationship with our significant others and whatever, because that is the most important things. All of our relationships are teachers. They are teaching us something. And as long and our curriculum, and that's where we are in the lesson. And we will not learn, we will continue to get all this stuff to show up in our life if we don't learn forgiveness, if we don't learn moving forward, if we don't learn acceptance and surrender. It just keeps coming, and it'll keep smacking you in the face as long as you're stubborn. Like, hello, you're not the one that's writing the course of the world. Okay, you are a part of it. You're just as important as every single part, but you are a part of a whole. Okay, so it's not up to you. So smack, smack, and then you're like, okay, that hurt, and then you come back, and we're so insane that we just go right back into being right about the way we had it. And then life comes and goes, okay, well, here's a punch instead. Every single time you don't learn the lesson, you get into a relationship, you don't learn, you go into the next one, the stakes get higher and higher and higher until you finally will say, all right, God, all right, life, I get it. I just get to be kind. I get to stop beating myself up. I get to be, whatever, all the loving thoughts. I get to be more grateful. Let me operate from a place of gratitude every day instead from a place of blaming and victimhood and all of that. You can do it all you want. There's no judgments about it. God's like, sure, go ahead, keep doing it. And you just generate the exact same results back and forth, back and forth. See, the Course says human beings, us in this meat suit, we have high tolerance for pain. Okay, we have extremely high tolerance for pain, but it is not without an end. At some point, we will have to say, enough is enough. I'm done with it. There must be another way. There must be another way is the line that you want to reach for yourself at some point. There must be another way. Okay, I got to stop doing the same thing over and over. I've gotten fired so many times. My relationships have not worked out so many times. Every one, it's like the same as the last. I've been broke for 20 years. I've been living paycheck to paycheck for 20 years. Well, when are you going to change something about it? It's not about changing the job. It's not about changing the things that are outside. It's about changing how you do those things, how you relate to those things. And then the results will change. It's not, let's change the results and then I'll be happy. Right? It's that whole be, do, have, not have, do, and then be, or do and then have, and then I'll be happy. As long as you put be on the very end, like I'm going to be happy, be kind, be generous, be rich, be whatever, after I do these things, it will never get there. Like the beingness has to come first. That means the faith and the trust and the receiving of your power back, the changing of your mindset, that comes first. Whew. Wow. What else? What was I just talking about? Okay, cool. Go ahead, Jacqueline. Thanks.
No, I think what you're saying is so relevant because, I did my coaching certification in Bali last November. And man, when you go through that process, they really put you through the ringer. And I think humans are inherently the most hilarious creatures ever. Because by default, we're like really arrogant. We think the whole world revolves around us. And we're like these really codependent molecules that like really all are just a bunch of atoms. And then everyone's got this stuff between their two ears, right? And they're like repeating it. And they're repeating it. Like I tell my mom all the time with her, Mom, I love you. You're so committed to your cause. And I'm here to enjoy the story because it's so ridiculous, right? And I think it is. And my mom is very fear-based. And we were Italian and Portuguese, like crazy people. And it's comical because, I literally had my coach, while I was going through coaching training, my coach looking at me and he's like, it doesn't matter. And I was like, and he's like, it doesn't matter. I was like, but no. And I could feel myself like suffocating at this guy saying everything that happened in my childhood didn't matter. And I was like, like my identity is getting questioned. Everything is getting taken away. I've been stripped down to like a molecule and I don't feel important. And I felt so many conflicting feelings coming in. And then he was like, just surrender. And I was like, I'm Italian. Do you know us? Like, we don't do this. We fight forever.
You didn't happen to ingest some like ayahuasca before that, right? No, just
What's
kidding.
that?
You didn't happen to drink any ayahuasca right before that, did you?
No. This was me out in the wild raw. Yeah. And I was like, I wish I had ayahuasca. I probably would have just been like, okay, like I feel great. No, I was like, it was like I could feel my throat getting restricted. And then he said, are you ever gonna go back and be back in that exact place ever again? And I was like, no. He's like, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Stop it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He just kept saying it. And I was just like sobbing. And I was like, I'm haunting myself, right? And that fear of letting go and that fear of changing my identity and that fear of like, if I am going to teach people, I can't be triggered by people, right? I have to let this go. I can't, it's not going to serve me. And having like all those feelings just like coming to the surface, it was like I was drowning. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, it was like, he said it one more time and he's like, stop it, right? And it just popped. And it was like this cathartic release of like, we are the funniest creatures in the world. Like if you really watch people's coping skills, it's so fundamentally logically broken, but kind of like what you're saying with the Titanic, right? You're rearranging the furniture, trying to make it look nice, right? And you're like, why do we feel the need to control? It's an illusion. Why do we feel like perfectionism is true, is possible? It's not. It's because we weren't shown grace in parenting when we were growing up, right? And we weren't shown that it's okay to make mistakes. But it's fascinating because, you know, learning that the biggest battles right here, that was like, oh man, like, I don't know. Growth is the funniest, sloppiest, most beautiful mess. And I love talking about my growth life because it's comical to me. Like I left that retreat just laughing at everybody and everything. I was like, man, we're all gonna die. That is certain. We all don't know when. We're all out here in the wild with trying to find coping skills and tools that serve us. We're all in the same place. Yeah. It doesn't matter who we are. And it's hilariously beautiful to me. So to your point, what you're sharing, it's like, sometimes we take life a little too serious and we put way too much emphasis on things and we just gotta like chill out, man. We are all good. You know what? You've already survived the worst days of your life. You can do it again. Yeah, you didn't die.
That's true. So look, what you're saying, you know, so we bring up a lot of A Course in Miracles on this call. The Course says that the identity in which you carry with you is an idea to be let go of. Okay, so the identity, because we've done everything. Alex, who is Alex? He does A Course in Miracles, teaches multifamily, he blah, 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 all the things I have. What happens if all of that disappears? Then what? Right? And I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. So can you cope and be okay with that? Because most of us are so attached to identity that we make our job our identity. Right? We make our career our identity. When people retire, all of a sudden they get so old so fast and they die so soon after they retire. It's because you like, what is it without that identity? So the Course says, start practicing now. Everything you believe to be true about yourself, okay, is not the truth itself. The truth is you are just you. You are being. Like I am, period. You are. Right? We are. My guitar is actually named We Are. Oh man, what else was I gonna say? Wait, hold on. There was something important. Or was it important? I guess not. Okay, go ahead, Fraser.
I was just when she was talking about that retreat and all that, I started to think about how, like, when we discussed about your retreat when you went to Peru and did that whole thing, have you ever thought about doing a Course of Miracles retreat in Nevada, like just like a tent or yurt thing? I'd be there, man. And you can do with like earth medicine, meditation. It would be so cool.
Yeah, that's happening in 10 days from now.
What?
I'll see you there. I'm serious. Come to Vegas in 10 days.
Sorry, say that again.
Come to Vegas in 10 days.
Okay, I'm there.
Wait, what?
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that off my live and line. You just reach out to me. But we this is a separate part of my life. Well, not separate, but it is really a big part of my life that is behind everything that I do. All right. So my entire purpose that I believe in my life is to bring myself and others closer to God. Everything I do revolves around that. Okay. And sometimes I forget. Sometimes I get caught up in the money and the this and the oh my God, I got to do this and that. I get caught up in all that. But A Course in Miracles brings me to it. It's my daily practice. And then we have different types of ceremonies that we do that we actually bring concept to experience. Like what is it like to actually experience being in 5D? What's it feel like to be with like Source with you? Like when God is literally with you, what is that like? And those moments are, they do disappear because they are moments, they are in the past, but it's a reminder that you can carry forth to this moment, and that will bring light to darkness when you forget. When you forget to turn on the light, you realize, oh, okay, the light is already here. It's inside. And what I was going to say is I just read the book Delivering Happiness by Tony Hsieh, and I think everybody should read this book. We are doing a fund in Vegas that is going to be like the Tony Hsieh Legacy Fund. And we are, doing a lot of things to continue on Tony's happiness movement. Okay, like I really want to honor that and carry that forth. The 3 tiers of happiness that he came to the conclusion with after creating a culture with Zappos and all the things he did was level 1 of happiness comes from pleasure. Okay, it's the lowest level of where your happiness comes from is through pleasure. Pleasure is temporary. It keeps going and coming and keeps going. And then it actually makes you less happy later. Example of people that won the lottery. They measure where they are in happiness now. And then a year after they've won the lottery, they're usually around the same, if not a little less happy, actually a little more grumpy and agitated after winning the lottery. So, that's level 1. It's from pleasure. Level 2 is, Jacqueline actually mentioned it, it's growth. Like the growth and the journey that we on actually brings a level of fulfillment and happiness that lasts longer. But also growth is interpretation also, right? It's perception for us. We can literally do nothing and have a true perception of us growing. So that's kind of related to something that's also temporary. The 3rd tier of happiness comes from being a part of a bigger vision. Like you're a part of something that is much bigger. Like being a part of something. So ultimately it's being a part of God's kingdom. Like realizing that that's what I'm serving. And being in service to that vision creates the lasting happiness forever. Now, in our 3D material world, what do? Right? Jacqueline and I kind of have this idea together. We're just, let's join our visions, right? I see your big vision. You see my big vision. Let's work with each other to create a bigger vision, but also there's always something bigger and someone bigger that has a bigger vision. When she invited me to Proxy's award gala, like the culture that was created in there, I was like, wow, I'm so enrolled into this vision and what they've created. Can I work for this company? And then I realized, wait, I don't really want to work for any. I'm not trying to get a W-2, but I was just that enrolled into it. I was like, I'll work for this company. Like, what do you need me to do? Like because of the vision itself. So, the vision just there's ultimately, like I said, it's the kingdom that we're serving. But while we're here on earth, what is something that we can serve more people? More people, we're serving the coming together of the entire sonship, is what the Course calls it. Right? All the sons coming together to remember one son. Only one son of God, one child. And so, what are we in service to? And I try to do everything in service to that. And that's why I'm inspired. I can wake up early and people are like, how much energy do you have? I'm like, I don't know. I don't even feel like I'm running out of any energy. At like 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. at night, I'm still going exactly like this. And my wife's like, yo, it's bedtime. Like, are you, what are you doing? Like, how much, when are you going to stop? Right. So that's the, uh-oh. Go ahead, Brooke. Tell me.
Nope, that was an accident. I didn't even hear what you said. I have to drop the kids off at school and accidentally hit it. Love you. Okay. Sorry.
You know, usually Brooke's always taking Love's side, and she battles me here.
No, I do not. I try
kidding.
to help you come from a place of understanding where she might be coming from.
Of course, I know.
And then it's funny because then my husband jumps in. Well, did you think of it from this perspective? I'm like, yo, you and Alex one day are going to meet and you all are going to have like a fabulous, we talked about the podcast. I'm like, oh, we're going to have fun.
Yeah.
Because me and my husband are pretty
fun, for sure.
No holds barred. So yeah.
Yeah. This is going to be a one-of-a-kind podcast. It's going to be, we're all going to be hosts and we're all going to be guests. And we're going to have Natalia be our someone that's asking the questions. That'll be great. Okay. Wow, it's only 11:09. Okay. What else? We got another like almost 20 minutes. Let's use it. Oh, we got somebody else joining us. Great. And if you're, let's see, I haven't checked the Instagram. I actually can see a message from, one sec. Oh, from YouTube. Armando. Okay, Armando's here. Great. After his message on YouTube for a while, here he is. What's up, brother? Sorry, I didn't see it. I'm on my laptop.
All good, all good. Good morning.
Hey, how's it going, brother?
Yeah, it's going well. That is for sure. I cut it late in this call. I definitely relate with it. I'm like, yeah, I should have got into this a little earlier this morning, but
we do this every week, twice a week, and you know, this is actually my dream for me. Like, I think about like, oh, what do I really want to do? I just want to have a radio show, 7 hours a day, 7 days a week. I just do this. I just talk about A Course in Miracles. I have people come on, ask questions. We have this conversation all day.
Nice. Love it.
That would be great. And maybe like I'll be in Bali, I'll be in the beach, I'll be wherever traveling the world doing that, and just have my little radio show coming to you live from Costa Rica. And then, you know, so that'd be awesome.
Popsy has a radio show. We've got a whole channel if you want it, Alex. You can talk to CJ next week at the event about it.
Okay. Oh man, I'm excited to see your CJ and those guys over there at the event.
Our event. It's everybody who's on stage's event. We're all in it together, man. We're family now.
It's gonna be great. So if you want to actually just throw the link in the chat here for how people can go to it, because I know some people might be near Dallas. For sure, this is a very intimate, high caliber, high net worth people. I'm super excited to be there. You know, and honored for Jacqueline to ask me to speak on her stage. But yeah, it's looking like it's going to be super great. You know, it's not like the normal giant events that I go to with conferences with like 1 million people, you know, but really getting to know somebody. And I know somebody there. Probably every person that I'll meet over there can drastically change my life. So I'm very excited for that.
It's gonna be a party, man. I've never been more excited to launch something in my life and to have so many people see what we're doing, because it's like right? You're part of this university. It's ours. It's our event. It's not my stage. It's our stage, right? We're all gonna have to move mountains in order to get financial literacy changed, in order to get people, you know, stopping those doom loops going down. And, you know, mindset is 80% of the battle, believing that you're worthy and you deserve money and you deserve, right? It's growth. Like, we're going to be talking about this stuff and you can't escape it. So just surrender. Like, it took me 38 years and I'm like, man, darn genetics.
That's funny. Hey, look, I mean, it's still 38 years is young. At least it's not 78 years or 88 years that you're realizing it, right? So, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna put your codes in here.
Okay, cool. Okay. What else? What else is on the minds of our attendees today? What else should we talk about? Let's see. I wrote some notes down just in case. All right, so let's go. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, I didn't know there was a Alex free virtual. Cool. Yeah, free virtual.
All over your social media. We got you, boo. Don't worry.
I'm
We
already
got the
signed up.
emails. Don't worry.
Oh, right, the emails. Cool.
I got you, Alex. I hacked your systems. Don't worry about it.
Oh, right. Awesome. See, that's the way
Like
to
while
do
you're
it,
dealing
Adam.
with your fire drill, I'm dealing with my fire drill. We got this.
I'm like, here, take over my social media on my campaigns. Who was just saying something? Who was just about to say something? Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I'm signed up already. I can't wait to see you guys on Monday on this event.
Wait, it's like this coming Monday?
Yeah, the 9th, right? That's so it's the 9th. Yeah. Hello.
Snap. I'm flying back to Vegas tomorrow. Okay.
Why do you think we're pounding you for all our ass? No pressure. I mean, we just have a little show flow to put together and like some stuff to do on the back end. Mind that.
All right, I'm on it. I'm ready.
Yeah, and don't feel bad, Jacqueline. I'm 61 years old and I'm just getting all this on. I'm just starting to realize that how worthy I am. I wasted a lot more time, so better late than never, though.
I like that
you're
you
young,
say,
man.
I like that you say Jacqueline.
Well, once she puts that C in the middle, it's like she wants it separated. She wants to make sure that you pronounce it, all the letters.
It's French. There's no way Americans could pronounce it. So my mom was like, just call yourself Jacqueline in America. I was like, Mom, why did you pick such a complicated name? And the worst part is there's no other name in the world. There's no other human that has my name. So like, man, you can't lie. You can't, everybody will Google you and find out. So it's like, I'm on the straight and narrow. My mom made sure. She was like, I'm keeping eyes on you, sister. I'm
Wait,
like,
that's not how you spell normal, Jacqueline?
Jacqueline. I mean, it's French. That's the French spelling.
Oh, why other people spell it
We
differently?
don't usually put the C in the middle. The C is what makes her so unique. Amongst other things, of course.
Right,
everything about me is special. Don't worry. I rode the special bus for a long time too. But you know what? I love myself and I'm a beautiful mess and I'm here for everybody. There's not anything anyone can tell me that I don't understand. I feel like I've lived 80 lives in this lifetime. So if you ever guys need me here, I'm here for you. I'm a female version of here for you versus Alex.
All right, Adam, go ahead, brother.
What's up, bro? Hello, everybody. Yeah, I just wanted to, I was listening to intently as I was talking about, you're talking about fear, and then, there's like this dynamic love and fear, and some of what I heard you say. Is like,
wait, hold on.
There's this does anybody know who Richard Rudd is with Dean?
You're cutting in and out, Adam. Adam, you're
Oh,
cutting,
I am?
You're cutting in and out. So you said what I heard you say was, and then you cut out, which was funny.
Oh, no, I laughed after what I heard you say. Let me move to the other Wi-Fi router here. Hang on a second. Go into the spiritual room. Should be where I'm at anyway. But Richard Rudd is brilliant. He's the man behind Gene Keys. And there's many meditations. You can actually find a lot of them on Spotify or on YouTube. And they point to certain things. So like whenever the title of that meditation is, it's like, oh, okay, that's a good one. But it's really interesting how the meditation itself tends to lead into something so much deeper than just the title, right? It's kind of like the hook. And one of the things that he said in a meditation that I put on for a men's group like 2 weeks ago was, fear is safe. And when I heard him say fear is safe, what it brought to mind was so much like, okay, I'm feeling this sensation in my body. My brain is starting to consider multiple possibilities at once, of which they don't really seem to be peaceful. They seem to be anxiety ridden, or they have a certain energy to them. But even the labeling of what it is this fear? Does the human even know? What is it actually feeling? Is it, or maybe it's just unknown? Maybe it's just triggering something that brought up butterflies in the stomach from back in the day, and it's being labeled as fear. That kind of thing. So as I've been leaning into that more and more and more in alignment with this conversation and around like self-worth and money mindset and so on, and seeing so many different articles and different things that I work to scroll past as fast as possible with any sort of doom and gloom of what's going on in the governmental systems and all these, like there's these constant things. But like if I label it as fear or feel it as fear, it can reinforce what I make up to be fear. You know what I mean? Like, what is fear? And why is it that the human condition thinks that certain things are, oh, I've got this new information that shows me that my deal may be subject to being shortened in its duration so that my compensation may be less than what I originally thought it would. Is that fear or is that expectation? You know what I mean? Like there's a fine little line into like the labeling of fear. And I think that I share this because within myself, I've been looking at what is the mindset, not so much of do I have a mindset of wealth or self-worth? Do I have a mindset that anything that isn't the way that I thought it would be is fear? And found that to be like this knot starts to kind of unravel itself and turn into this like longer, like bigger looking glass, like the keyhole in your meditation becomes an actual one of those giant eye holes, that they have on some hotel room where I can like see the whole hallway. And it's like, it actually allows me to feel a little bit like, is this actually fear? Am I making this fear? Is my programming making it fear? Or, is it actually love because it's creating something that I've got to now focus in on, and I wasn't putting the attention that maybe I knew within myself that I was called forth to put towards this commitment that I made. Because usually when I take my foot off the gas of the commitment, fear starts to leak in because it's like the commitment drags on, or maybe I wasn't doing my homework around the commitment. So then the actual actions being taken or lack thereof, or let me say choice to take other actions, creates the experience of fear, which is just, again, an expectation of what it should be, or when I said I would deliver it, or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to share that. There's like this interesting perspective is like a kind of a newer perspective that I'm feeling fear or love. It's like, but what am I labeling as fear? Why am I labeling, if I have a mindset saying that money is finite, why do I put that? Why do I make that fear? Otherwise say, oh, that's just a mindset, and stop labeling it there that way. And then being pulled into the vortex of created fear. Yeah, that's it. Just wanted to share that before we move on. And thank you very much for listening.
Yeah. And there's a part of that, of the not labeling as fear, that actually creates more confusion for ourselves too, because we're like, oh, what is all this gray lines? Really, there's just fear and there's love. There's nothing else. Like, we create gray lines in between. The reason why we want to recognize that as a fear is so that we can recognize that fear doesn't exist. That, wow, what it painted the picture to be isn't the case. So then I can start to say that this is not really fear, right? But everything else in between is the gray line that we try to confuse ourselves with. There's really just two things that's ever happening. I'm either in love or faith, or I am in fear and I'm in the ego, right? That creates all the doubts. All the other energies that are along the lines of fear, it's all the same thing. We don't have to, say, oh, this is fear and this is. They're all the same energy. It's all going to take you down the same path of uncertainty, of doubt, of, beating yourself up, of judging people, of whatever. Then you have the energies of fear. Of love. So love, faith, trust, gratitude, they're all the same things too. They're all really the same. The more you focus on that, the more that expands. Only two things are ever happening, and the vision of one will always cost you the vision of the other. Okay, so they never occupy the same space at the same time. It is only the only free will we have is not in the curriculum of the world, but is in this moment. Which one of these two am I going to choose? That's our free will, and let's try to make it as simple as possible for ourselves. Like black, white, no gray.
And I think what he's ultimately pointing in that meditation is the holy instant, right? It's like if there is this fear present, and if I feel that fear is safe to like lean into it, in my own cosmology, it shifts that into love instantaneously. So it's the same, right?
Same.
So yeah, thank you. Say thank you for the combo.
Thank you for bringing that up. So hey Annika, what's up? How you doing, my friend?
Hi, Alex.
Hey.
I'm laying cozy in my bed because it's cold here. I'm like in Seattle now.
Oh, you're in Seattle now. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, that's actually a great conversation to piggyback off of because, like since the last time I talked to you, I've kind of stepped out of that fear space a little bit. And I've been in that weird fear space for 2 years and like not being able to get out of this like weird. And I kind of see it like I'm at a crossroads right now. And the crossroads is stepping into trust and love and hope and all of these things and greatness. And then the other side is like my comfort, but my comfort is not comfortable. My comfort is fear. And I've been, this conversation is a little too deep, but I wanted to like get into the, and you guys are talking about podcast conversations with people around this topic of codependency and how codependency creates fear in our minds. And I don't know where I'm going with that, but there's just this like new path I'm seeing myself go into of like, how can I step into greatness and trust that everything's going to be okay and not be wrapped up in fear. And it's a very hard, challenging walk, but it's really not challenging. And I'm making it challenging for myself. And like, why do we do that? Yeah. Like, why do we make it so hard when it's not?
You're starting to, when we have faith and hope and we're tapped into that space, like going back and forth, but leaning more towards faith, hope, and love, we actually become more creative. We think about creative ways of doing things, which is in alignment to what you want to be doing. And then it's figuring out how do we take what we love to do and that creativity and then monetize it, so that we can support ourselves. But, by all means, you may have the number one podcast of all time in your mind right now. And that is all within the realm of possibilities, the infinite possibility of the world. That is within you to create that. Now, how much will you lean into it? How much will you trust that process and have faith that it will turn out, right? Because along the way, there will be a lot of, well, you're not good enough. Well, you don't have enough. Well, you don't have enough money to make it happen. Well, you don't have enough contacts. All of those things will happen. But one day at a time, lean into your creativity. I teach a class called the Clarity Catalyst. I think you've heard, but it's amazing. It's part of that. Like everything I do is about creating more of that in people's lives, and it's powerful. But as you were sharing what you shared, I actually thought about a passage in A Course in Miracles. I actually typed it up to get the passage right now, so I'll read it. And then we'll kind of start to end this today's call on this note. So thank you, Annika, for bringing that up. I think it's perfect and great. You and I, anytime that you need, you can always reach out, especially if you're in this place of wanting to build something new, like whatever I could do to help you create that, I will. All right.
I'm actually looking at, you're in Vegas?
Yeah.
I'm looking to go to Vegas.
Oh, okay.
First week of October to Aubrey Marcus's festival thing. It just came up randomly.
Wow.
I think I'm gonna do it.
Love's gonna be there.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I'm going to Dallas, but Love's gonna be there. That's awesome.
Let's go.
Okay. It's the first week of November, not October.
Sorry, that's what I meant. November. I forgot what month it is.
All right. So I'm gonna read this passage to kind of wrap us up. And I want to say thank you all for being here and having this conversation. It was very impactful for me too. I'm going through some stuff that I need to also step more into faith and trust. Okay. So in The Course in Miracles, chapter 22, section 4 is called the branching of the road. When you come to the place where the branch in the road is quite apparent, you cannot go ahead. You must either go one way or the other. For now, if you go straight ahead, the way you went before you reached a branch, you will go nowhere. The whole purpose of coming this far was to decide which branch you will take now. The way you came no longer matters. It doesn't matter. It can no longer serve. No one who reaches this far can make the wrong decision, although you can delay. There is no part of the journey that seems more hopeless and futile than standing where the road branches and not deciding which way to go. It is but the first few steps along the right way that seems hard, for you have chosen, although you still may think you can go back and make another choice. This is not so. A choice made with the power of heaven to uphold it, it cannot be undone. Your way is decided. There will be nothing you will not be told if you acknowledge this. And so you and your brothers stand in this holy place before the veil of sin that hangs between you and the face of Christ. Let it be lifted. Raise it together with your brother, for it is but a veil that stands between you two. Either you or your brother alone will see it as a solid block, nor realize how thin the drapery that separates you now. Yet it is almost over in your awareness, and peace has reached you even here before the veil. Think what will happen after. The love of Christ will light your face and shine from it into a darkened world that needs the light. And from this holy place, he will return to you, not leaving it nor you. You will become his messenger, returning him onto himself. And then the last part is, think of this loveliness that you will see who walk with him, and think how beautiful you and your brother will look to the other. How happy you will be together after such a long and lonely journey where you walked alone. The gates of heaven open now for you, and you now open to the sorrowful. And none who looks upon the Christ will in you, but will rejoice. How beautiful the sight you saw beyond the veil, which you will now bring to the light of the tired eyes of those who are weary as you once were. How thankful will they be to see you come among them, offering Christ's forgiveness to dispel their faith in sin. So this part is just so great because it talks about us reaching this branch. You know, there is a calling for us. We can either go down the path of fear or uncertainty or doubt and all of that, or we can go down this path that is being called to us. And we can hear it clearly. Like when hope and creativity and love calls to us, we're like, yes, okay, I can see it. Then we lose it because the fear shows up. So we're always kind of at this branching of the road. And neither road, you cannot take the wrong road. One road just has more branches and will have you choose more. The other one, you just walk towards and get to the gates of heaven. And as you walk down the gates of heaven, you and your brothers will always be walking in pairs. And as you shine your confidence in the way that you're walking down this path, others will be inspired and they will see their own light because of the light that you carry in you. So this whole section is just about walking down the path, which has already been paved for you. And once you make this decision of walking down this path of your calling and your passion, there will be nothing that you will not be told of how to do it and where to go, what to do. All the resources will be provided. Now, every time there's a doubt, you go down the other path. And that path is not the wrong path, but it is a path of delay. Both paths will lead to the gates of heaven. And this is what the Course is saying. And for each one of us, every moment, we get to choose, okay, here we are at the branching of the two road. So these calls are to remind us and inspire and give us the courage to walk down the path of love and kindness and compassion. And that is my prayer and my intentions and my blessings for every one of these calls. And yeah, thank you all for joining me this morning. I have big tasks to do. Much blessings. Thank you all very much. And I will see you on Sunday or tomorrow.
We got it,
Thank you so much.
Let's go.
You got this. You
All
got
right.
this, man.
See y'all
Bye.
later.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Bye.